MMAWeekly.com, Damon Martin here with Joe Lauzon. Joe, coming off your last fight, very emotional fight, getting to be in your hometown, crowd going crazy. This is maybe a bigger fight, though, of course, against George Sotiropoulos. So how is the emotional level going into this one, coming off such a big fight in your last one?
I'm an emotionless bastard sometimes, so I usually don't let the pressure get to me too much. So it is a much bigger fight, but it won't affect me.
And you seem to really feed off the crowd the last time. So how much different mindset do you have from the last fight you went in against Gabe, which is kind of a personal fight? He was talking a lot of trash, to this one where George is kind of a quiet guy, but obviously higher in the rankings.
I think I would have been more likely to make mistakes on Gabe, just because it was not emotional, but I definitely didn't like him, so I would have gone to for more things. For George, I don't want to make mistakes. I have to go for things, but I can't do anything reckless because he'll take advantage. And once he gets on top, it's tough to get him away.
When George came out and beat Joe Stevenson, I think he surprised a lot of people in that fight. Maybe even with Kurt Pellegrino a little bit, but now he's not slipping under the radar a little bit. People know who he is. Does that give you an advantage just because he's maybe not going to be able to surprise you the way he surprised them?
Yeah, I mean, I've known who Sotiropoulos was for a long time. I love watching him fight. I love watching his guard passing. I love his top position. He plays a lot of rubber guard, things like that. He really doesn't make mistakes and brings a lot of pressure. So I've always paid close attention to him, but I could see how other people overlooked him a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Stevenson or Pellegrino thought it was going to be a little bit easier fight, and then they got surprised a little bit, but I won't make that mistake.
You had such a great performance in your last one. Were you happy, surprised? What was your kind of reaction when the UFC called and said, we want you to face George on the main card of this show?
I was excited. I didn't expect that big of a fight right out of the gate. I definitely look at Gabe as a much lower level fighter than someone like George. But I was anxious and I was eager, and I was all for it. It wasn't expected, but I'll take it.
Talk to us about George's rubber guard. Obviously working with Eddie Bravo. It's a big part of his game, big part of the jiu-jitsu game. I remember talking on the radio. You didn't seem to be as much of a fan as maybe some people are, so talk to us about that.
I think the rubber guard definitely have its time and place, but in the later rounds of an MMA fight, I don't think it's as much. It's slippery. You gotta, your legs gotta be in great shape. Used to climbing up all the time, which I'm sure his are. But it's definitely it takes a lot of work to get really good at rubber guard. And I'm sure George is good at it. But for someone starting out, I think you're better off invest your time in rubber guards.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have talked about the gear he wears, and I heard you say you're leaning towards asking the commission not to allow him to wear it.
Yep.
How much of an advantage does it give him? And obviously, is that kind of your feeling? Why give him that chance?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a huge advantage, but why give him anything? If it's a razor thin fight, and it could go either way. Why give him that little advantage that can pull it in his direction? I would much rather just take away that advantage right out of the gate. He's definitely within his rights. If he wants to try and wear it, and I'm okay with it, but I'm within my rights to say no too. So I think that's what I'm going to do.
Is the biggest concern the later rounds? Obviously, when you guys are sweating, where normally you'd slip, things like that, and obviously he'll have a grip.
Even right off the bat, you know what I mean? I could be a little bit slippery from sweat, and maybe his knee pads are going to help it out. You know what I mean? Maybe it won't make a difference, but maybe it will. If his corner keeps saying that, it's not going to make a difference. It doesn't help. It's a disadvantage. Things like that. It's a disadvantage. Why would you do that? It's not a disadvantage. It's an advantage. That's why he does it. I don't do anything that puts me at a disadvantage. I always do everything to give me an advantage. So that's what I'm doing here.
You're known as a traditionally very, very fast starter. You did it against Kenny. You did it against Sam Stout. You did it against Gabe Rudiger, obviously. With this one, George has obviously had some decisions. He's a late round fighter. How much did you prepare for that, knowing that if you don't finish him early, to go the full 3 rounds?
Before my last fight, I'd been doing strength conditioning with a new place, Mike Boyle's strength conditioning with Kyle Holland, and I was in great shape. The pace I had against Gabe in the first round, I would have kept for all 3 rounds if needed. So I'm ready to go, all 3 fives if needed. But I never anticipate going that far. I expect to, get in and get out.
The last time for Boston, you debuted the new Joe Lauzon T-shirt. This time you have a new one for Detroit. Is this something fun you're kind of doing now? And then talk to us about the concept for this one.
We did one even back to the Pulver fight. We did a Fear No Evil shirt. We've done some kind of event shirt. I generally have a lot of people that come out with me. Sometimes 100 people have flown out with me for fights and things like that. So I always do some kind of shirt for all the guys that have gone out with me. So we're keeping that going. For the one against Gabe, it was in Boston. So we did the green and white for the Celtics colors with a shamrock on the front. It said, "I love fighting like a fat kid loves cake." So for this one, we just did the JL symbol on the front, and then you can read the back.
Very cool.
So that's what we did for this one. You know what I mean? It's I didn't want to be mean about anything, but I wanted to do something that kind of had some relevance to the fight. He's Australian, so we went with the kangaroo.
So not going the Tito Ortiz route with a post-fight shirt too?
No, I mean the one against Gabe was a little bit poking fun, but I mean it's always been pretty low key.
Yeah, awesome, Joe. Appreciate it as always.
No problem. Thank you.